wondered how the Salvation Army came to be? Let's go back to London, England in 1865. Poverty and suffering were widespread issues across the city. William Booth, with his wife Catherine, committed to walking the streets of London and ministering to the broken, preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ to the poor, the homeless, and the hungry. Under their leadership, a movement began to grow, as did their ministry, recognizing that physical, emotional, social, and spiritual restoration go hand in hand. In William Booth's book, Darkest England and the Way Out, he states, "I must assert in the most unqualified way that it is primarily and mainly for the sake of saving the soul that I seek the salvation of the body." Today, the Salvation Army serves in more than 130 countries across the world, impacting over 25 million people each year in the United States. This looks different everywhere based on the needs of each community. We work to assess local needs by identifying the obstacles and challenges, then develop local programs designed to offer immediate relief, short-term care, and long-term growth. In addition to the well-known Red Kettle, thrift stores, and disaster services, the Salvation Army can be found serving people of all ages in all walks of life. We are motivated by our core values in all we do, choosing to be brave as we help disaster survivors who are searching for a glimpse of hope, showing compassion through our unemployment services and prison ministries for those looking for a way out of their brokenness, passionately caring for our youth through summer camps, daycare centers, educational programs, and providing gifts at Christmas for families in need, being uplifting through our rehabilitation centers and programs for those struggling with alcohol or substance abuse, building trust within communities as we combat human trafficking, love the elderly, and overcome poverty by creating a pathway of hope. At the heart of it all is still the same motivation behind our founder, William Booth's original mission when he started the Salvation Army: to seek and save the lost. Weekly worship services, Sunday school, and Bible studies are held in Salvation Army Corps or churches everywhere, and members gather together in community to encourage each other and grow in the love of God. Salvation Army officers, soldiers, employees, volunteers, donors, and friends help to uphold our branding promise of doing the most good. The Salvation Army, an international movement, is an evangelical part of the Universal Christian Church. Its message is based on the Bible. Its ministry is motivated by the love of God. Its mission is to preach the gospel of Jesus Christ and to meet human needs in His name without discrimination. For more information on the Salvation Army in the USA and to connect with your local Salvation Army, visit www.salvationarmyusa.org.
Hi everyone, I'm Will Jensen with K-Texas News. We want to welcome you to the Inspiring Hope virtual annual event. Because of the events of 2020, many of you know things are different this year, and so we're having to make this a virtual event. Our presenting sponsor this year is the Diane Graves Owen Foundation, and we want to thank them for all of their support. And now our Public Relations and Community Development Director, Shelley Futrell, will lead us in our invocation.
Father, we are so grateful today to be here celebrating the Inspiring Hope virtual annual event. And Father, for all the goodness that you have poured upon this community and the blessings that you have given us, we look at the lives touched by the Salvation Army here in this community for 110 years. And Father, we can't just look at them as a collective group. We have to look at them as individuals. Someone who's come in and been fed. Someone who has come and got clothing. Someone that may have nowhere else to go, but has looked to the Salvation Army for the help they need. We are so grateful to be in the position to provide that help for them today. Father, bless us and continue to bless us in this community. In your precious name we pray, amen.
And now a word from our captain.
Hello friends, and thank you for joining us for the 2020 Inspiring Hope Virtual Luncheon. Salvation Army of Abilene has been serving the big country for over 110 years, where we have been inspiring hope to people of all different races, creeds, and backgrounds. We're so grateful to be able to have this event, and thank you for the support, and thank you to the Diane Graves Owen Foundation for presenting this meeting. Of course, our original plan was to meet in person at the Hunter Welcome Center. Thanks to COVID-19, we've had to do something new, something a little different, and something perhaps even a little weird by meeting virtually like this. And so we thank you for supporting us in this time and the support that you'll give for the year to come. God bless you.
Throughout today's meeting, you'll be hearing from several graduates of the Salvation Army's 10-month recovery program.
Our Step Up program offers the opportunity for recovery and being supported by the Salvation Army. And so what that looks like is that when the men come into the program, they may be at a moment where they realize, I've hit rock bottom and I need recovery. And in that moment of being able to say that, having the ability to say, okay, here's the services we can offer you, and here is how we will support you and guide you through that process. It starts with our 6 months with an emphasis on God and your intrinsic value. We work on building life skills like being able to cook, right? So they may help us serve in the kitchen area by cooking for others, but getting to see the value of providing a hot meal to someone else in need and being able to serve somebody else and see the good that you can do in someone else's life. They also get the opportunity to work in our warehouse, pricing, sorting, hanging, and making sure that our thrift store works well and goes well. And I tell them the value of that thrift store is that it provides for our needs, right? God provides to us through that thrift store, through them and their hard work. And so the work that they put in is really work that they're putting into themselves as well. We work on recovery classes, NA and AA, and then we also work on our relationship with God. And so that starts with a devotional at 8 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Saturday. Wednesday night, we do a Bible study. And then Sundays, we have chapel services. And so it's a well-rounded approach to making sure that their needs are getting met, that they're seeing there is life that can be led through being clean and sober. And then once they've reached that spot where they've graduated that 6 months and they are doing well, we work on integrating back into the community. So we support them while they go out and look for a full-time employment, working on permanent housing, working on rebuilding relationships with family, friends, and that may be reunification with their kids or their mom and dad. But making sure that once they leave here, they're equipped with the skills to lead a successful life sober. John is currently in our second phase of our recovery program. He is employed as our kitchen manager, and one of the things that I love about John's spirit is that he has a spirit of giving and wanting to build friendships with others, and so when he gives with his whole heart.
Before I came to Salvation Army, I'm an alcoholic, recovering alcoholic, and I'm 48 years old, and I hit rock bottom. All I wanted to do was drink and everything. Every day I was drinking about half a gallon a day, and I had no hope in life. And one of my friends, she works for a rehab place, and she recommended it. So she brought me up here because I didn't have nobody else to turn to. My family abandoned me, my friends abandoned me and everything, and Salvation Army, they opened the door and come to me open armed and said they could help me get through it. So I started November the 22nd of 2019, and from there I have progressed. I enjoy life now. There at one time I did enjoy life. I tried to commit suicide, and coming here they helped me. Now I love life. I loved worshiping God. There at one time I did not want to worship God. I didn't have no belief in Him. So I did the program for 6 months, the first phase of it, and I graduated it, phase 1. I went out and got another job, but they didn't have nobody to fill in here, so they asked me if I would help out until they could get somebody. And I said, sure. I said, y'all help me out, so I have no problem helping. So I was helping filling it out, and then in return, they asked me if I would like to come join the team with Salvation Army, and I said, sure. Before I came here, I didn't have a future. I had no assistance of wanting to do anything. Coming here, they helped me rehabilitate myself. Now I enjoy going out into the public and working. I like to be around people. I love cooking. I love everything because it brings the joy out in me to see other people happy by eating. Because I know I've been out on the streets where I was hungry and didn't have nothing. Then I came here and just a little sandwich or something. I know I was happy, and to see somebody that cared, that knew where I came from, it made my heart feel better, and joy to see their smile on their face. In the past, I worked at a lot of hotels, and being here and working in this environment helps me realize I can do, because my biggest problem I had was being in the hotel after work, going out and having a few drinks and everything, or stressed out, going out and being stressed and having a drink to relieve everything. Here, I still have the stress, but I know how to cope with it. They help me with my coping mechanism to conquer what I need, what I'd like to do in my life, and I love to cook. Favorite meal? Honestly, cheeseburgers. Everybody likes cheeseburgers. I guess it's a staple American food. It's comfort, it's home food. It makes everybody feel relaxed when they can eat a greasy cheeseburger loaded with French fries and everything. They feel at home, along with a Coke. We're helping people out on the street that, and then for me, they can't help themselves, so they need a little help into helping. So we're helping them by making it where they can have a better life, because that's what they did to me. They took me off the street, bedded me in here, fed me, and guided me in the right direction where I needed to go. And I still have my ups and downs, but if it wasn't for this place 10 months ago, I would not be here. I owe it to them. It really has, in my words, it really has saved my life, or I wouldn't be here. You know, my family has noticed the difference. They wouldn't talk or anything. Now, I mean, they're talking to me. They're so proud of me. I'm proud of myself. They gave me a home to think I'm worthy of somebody. They took their time out to make me feel like I'm worthy. And I think that's what we do for everybody here. Right now, the goal I'm looking at, I don't want to go nowhere. I want to be here. I enjoy the joy of seeing people smile when they come through, and the joy of trying to help somebody, because they help me. In return, I need to help them. And I think that, to me, that's what God wanted me to do, is to turn around and help out people. And I enjoy it. It touches my heart to see people smile when they walk out of here.
James is a graduate of our recovery program and currently our maintenance director. It has been amazing to work with James and to see his growth, even in the short time that I've been here. Being a co-worker alongside James and seeing his recovery has been impactful in my life.
I was in the program here 12 years ago. I left after 4 months to work in the oil field, because of money. But the first time I came here, I stayed straight for 4 years. And then the reason I'm here this time is I came to Salvation Army just looking for some overnight housing. I was going to go to a program to the VA in Big Spring, the veteran. There's a lady working here. She just said, just stay right here. And so through her kindness and kindness of the staff that's here, I've kind of got a bigger picture of the world itself. It's a lot better when I become something bigger than myself, because of my addiction. It was a heroin addiction, and it's a very, very selfish drug and dangerous. And I think they're doing the most good by it. They're feeding people that are hungry and house them. I mean, it's a pretty big thing. If you're on the street and you don't have anything to eat or anywhere to go, then you're in a bad spot. And they do that here. They help, you know what I'm saying? They help get people into programs that so they can better themselves. When you're out there in the streets and you're doing the things that I was doing, you get into a downward spiral, and it's like you can't pull up, And so, luckily for me, I landed right here, and my spiral stopped. I started coming back up. But it's been a struggle, but I'm winning, I'm winning.
We want to tell you about ways that you can help. One of those ways is by giving directly, and you can do that at salvationarmyabilene.org. We also have an online auction going on right now, and that's being matched up to $15,000. And now we want to hear from our board chairman, John Wilson.
First was invited to the Salvation Army board meeting. It's a monthly meeting, and they discuss a lot of the aspects of the Salvation Army. And once I started coming as a volunteer and just kind of seeing what the organization was about, I really got hooked. I work for Abilene Police Department, and I've been there for 12 years. And part of that is seeing the community firsthand. And I often give resources throughout the community, one of which is the Salvation Army. So when we run into people at time that are in need of maybe just need a clean place to stay or a meal, a hot meal, we'll direct them to the Salvation Army. And they have helped hundreds of people over the years that I've dealt with directly. Abilene is approximately 117,000 people, so there is a lot of need in this community. But there's also a lot of people that give in this community, and when you give to the Salvation Army, you give to many programs, some of which that you won't see every day, and it's just a great community to be a part of. Salvation Army Advisory Board, you see aspects of the community. People, they have such good hearts, they give. Sometimes they don't even want to use their name, which is fine, but that money is used, and we've done tours on the property to see where the money's going, so it's just not, we're just not looking at numbers and approving this or disapproving that. We actually see where the money's going, so every dollar that's donated to Salvation Army is going to a good cause, whether it's funding a program or regular maintenance on the building. When you give to the Salvation Army, your money goes to programs and causes that are really needed at that time. There's a lot going on in 2020 across the nation, but here in Abilene, Texas, there's also a lot going on, and people are in need, if not more than ever. We do appreciate all the donations that come in to Salvation Army, and they go directly to the people as soon as possible.
Joe is a recent graduate of the first phase of our recovery program. He has successfully worked on getting his driver's license and is now in the process of applying for a driver's position with the Salvation Army of Abilene. A big win for Joe has been providing assistance during the disaster relief in Beaumont, Texas, which has greatly changed his life and made an impact for him.
We showed up and it was just devastation. There was, trees and everything in the roadways, highways, telephone posts snapped right in half. And there's so much traffic trying to leave that all you can see is sadness. You can see the need, and it hit my heart and my mind, and, every thought I had, wow, I've never seen it in life. I've seen it on movies or the news, but in person, it's a lot different. Well, we drove to our destination, to our headquarters, and we supplied up, and we drove out to our locations, and we dispersed meals, waters, Gatorades, you name it. Everybody was becoming satisfied, some kind of ease off their shoulders that they're able to get a meal. Even prayers, we're doing a lot of prayers. Yeah, it was pretty awesome, but you can still feel the heaviness of their spirit. In the beginning we were given over 1,000 meals a day. It gradually went down to 750, down to 500, and then eventually they started getting the power back on, and the line started getting shorter, and there's a couple that came and started thanking us, at the cantina, thank you. And I said, it's all Jesus, I'm just a servant. Like I said, it's not just in feeding, I believe in prayer. Jesus is almighty. He could give you what you really truly need in your life physically, but even more important spiritually, because that picture, your spirit up. During that hurricane, there's a lot of people just down and depressed and everything, and us feeding them, or even just one bottle of Gatorade or water, it put a smile on their face. They didn't know where they're going to get their next clean cup of water. Physical, I'm healthier. I'm a lot healthier. I feel happy. My heart feels good. You know, my body doesn't really hurt as much as it used to. Spiritually, I'm prayed up. You know, I got a really good relationship with my Lord. Yeah, he's my Lord and Savior. He's my healer. You know, he's my Redeemer. Brought me from the bottom pit to up here. You know, I'm blessed. I just thank God most of all, you know. Thank God, and from the captain all the way down to the youngest brother that's here in the program. Yeah, everybody's awesome. Yeah, everybody's pretty awesome. I love them. They're my family.
I remember they told me that we're going to teach you about God and everything will take care of itself. And what I really wanted to learn is how to drink like a normal person. Have a beer or two, and that's it. But I couldn't. It wasn't, my body's not meant to have one or two, maybe 3 or 4 or more. But in the beginning I was, is this gonna work? Is this not gonna work? And the more I met the people that work here, the more I could go to anybody that works here and just sit down and talk to them. And they're really willing to just stop what they're doing, even though they have work to do, and just sit down and talk to you. And it was one of those things that I felt at home. I felt that I can talk to them. I can either talk to the people that work here or talk to the people in the program, my brothers, and say, hey, I feel this way. Hey, don't worry about it. They'll take care of itself. And this program is more about, it's caring. It feels like home. It feels like I can walk in here, and they're, not because they know me, but the first thing out of their mouth is, how you doing? How's your sobriety? And to me, that means a lot.
So I guess I would say on hope, I know I felt really hopeless before we walked in the door that day. And especially that whole first month, you can't talk to him. So I know by the end of that very first month, his very first time, I was feeling pretty hopeless. And then once I was seeing how God was working through him, seeing how everybody helped him coming to service on Sunday, helped pull me back into church where I needed to be too. And by the end of it, I'm full of hope.
Not until I was here for 6 months and realized how much stuff they do. Not only feeding the homeless or people that need food, but like clothing, at church. I mean, all the stuff they do here is just, it's like, you're like, wow. Like when they go out for the hurricanes, when they, the back to school with their backpacks, they give kids supplies, and they give kids shoes. They give for Christmas. They want to make sure that every kid here in Abilene has a gift, and there's long hours behind that, getting gifts. And they still have time for people in the program to do fun stuff, to do, to take them out to dinner, to go watch a movie, to go, that's why forever I'll be always grateful for the Salvation Army, because has changed my perspective of, it's not a place to spend the night overnight. The people that work here are not just here to work, they're here to help. Either they're on the clock or off the clock. You can see them helping. They did a lot more than I thought they did when I was watching Sunday Night Football and saw they just want money. Now I know why they need the money and what they use it for. And they do a lot.
The needs of our community are so great, and the services that we provide here are so great. This Inspiring Hope event really brings into focus all those needs that are still out there that can be met through your contributions and through your help and assistance. You provide us the ability to be the hands and feet that God asks of us.
And now we want to introduce our keynote speaker, Brigadier General Joe Ramirez. Brigadier General Joe Ramirez, a native of Houston, is a graduate of Texas A&M University, where he was a member of the Texas Aggie Band in the Corps of Cadets. He received his commission in the United States Army Field Artillery from Texas A&M in 1979 as a distinguished military graduate. During his 31 years of military service, General Ramirez commanded soldiers around the world and served in leadership positions in various joint and operational commands. He was the Deputy Chief of Staff for United States Central Command during Operations Iraqi Freedom and Enduring Freedom, and was the Deputy Division Commander for the 2nd Infantry Division in the Republic of Korea. His most recent assignment was Deputy Director for Strategy, Plans, and Policy for U.S. European Command in Stuttgart, Germany. His numerous military awards include the Distinguished Service Medal, Defense Superior Service Medal, Legion of Merit, Korean Defense Service Medal, and the Parachutist Badge. And now, please welcome Brigadier General Joe Ramirez.
Good afternoon, or as we say in Aggie land, howdy. It's my honor and my pleasure today to be with you and talk a little bit about the Salvation Army and what it means to me, but more importantly, what it means to the citizens of our communities who rely heavily on all the services that are provided by this great organization. I am a proud member of the Board of Directors of the Salvation Army of Bryan College Station. I've been so for about 7 years now, and I'm proud of that organization and what it does for our citizens every single day. And that allows me the opportunity to talk a little bit about the goodness of what they do and how it impacts the lives of people all across our state and all across our nation and all across the world, for that matter, in ways that people can't even begin to measure. So again, it's my honor to be with you today, and I look forward to talking to you a little bit about the Salvation Army and what it means to me. I would also like to say thank you to Captains Joshua and Rachel McCain, commanding officers of the Salvation Army of Abilene. The Abilene Salvation Army has been serving the Abilene community since 1908. What an incredible record of service for the Salvation Army in Abilene. I also want to thank our presenting sponsor, the Diane Graves Owen Foundation. Thank you so much for your support of the Salvation Army of Abilene. The first slide I'm showing you is a quote. It's a psalm, Psalm 144:1. It's a psalm that we as soldiers use quite a bit, especially as we're prepared for deployment. And it goes, "Praise be the Lord my rock, who trains my hands for war and my fingers for battle." That's one that many of us have used a lot as we prepare ourselves to go into harm's way. And I use that one because it's also used by God's army, the Salvation Army, every single day as they prepare to do war against those who are facing homelessness, poverty, alcoholism, abuse. The Salvation Army is there to go to war for every one of them and provide them a better life in many ways. This quote, this Bible quote, is one that I feel is extremely appropriate for the Salvation Army because of what they do every day to improve the lives of many, many citizens by going to war, by taking their hands and going to war against all those evils that afflict our communities every single day. So, thanks be to the Lord our God who prepares all of us for war against all those evils that affect our community every single day. The next slide talks to a speech by William Booth, who I'm sure all of you are familiar with, an English Methodist minister who founded the Salvation Army in 1878 and was their first general. And he changed the name from the Volunteer Army to the Salvation Army in 1878. And his legacy lives on today in the fact that the Salvation Army is now worldwide. It grew, it started in England, and it's spread now all over the world to include the United States and virtually every state in the United States. His legacy is the fact that over 15,875 officers and cadets are spread across 58 different countries around the world, doing the Lord's work every single day. His final most distinguished address was to over 7,000 Salvationists at the Royal Albert Hall in London on May 9th, 1912. And it was during that speech that he gave his famous talk, "I will fight. While women weep, as they do now, I will fight. While little children go hungry, as they do now, I'll fight. While men go to prison, in and out, as they do now, I'll fight. While there is a drunkard left, while there is a poor lost girl upon the streets, while there remains one dark soul without the light of God, I'll fight. I'll fight to the very end. Profound words from the founder of the Salvation Army, and words that are still applicable today in more ways than we care to think about. And it wasn't long. He died three months later after giving this speech in August 1912 at the age of 83. I will fight. We all have that mantle upon us to fight for those who need someone to fight for them. And that is what the Salvation Army does every day. That's what they represent. That's what they do for our citizens every single day. Fight hard to help those that need help the most. God helps those who help themselves, but He blesses those who help others. And those who serve with the Salvation Army, all those Salvation Army soldiers and leaders that are out there every day doing the Lord's work, God blesses them every single day. I firmly believe that as I see them do the work they do every day and the impact they have on the lives of so many others. I firmly believe that God blesses them every single day. God has picked these people to be in His army, to do the Lord's work every single day, to go to war for Him every single day against homelessness and alcoholism and hunger and abuse every single day. And He's going to bless every single one of those who serve in the Salvation Army every single day. The next slide shows just a few snapshots of all the goodness that the Salvation Army does every day, from providing clothes, food, shelter, from emergency relief during disasters. The Salvation Army is everywhere. It doesn't matter where you are in the world, you're going to find the Salvation Army doing those tough tasks that need to be done to serve our citizens that are the most in need. The Salvation Army is there. No matter what happens, whether you're talking just people who are out of luck or natural disasters, the Salvation Army is there. They're the one organization you can always count on to be there when you need them the most. And that makes all of us very, very proud to be associated with that organization and what it stands for every day, especially in the lives of those who need it the most. The next slide talks a little bit about the responsibility we all have as either members of the Salvation Army or members of the board of the Salvation Army, and that we have to set an example that others would be willing to follow. And that example is one of selflessness, service, caring, empathy. We have to be that example for others that others would want to follow. And it's hard in today's world to be that example. Today, where everything is scrutinized heavily, especially on social media, it's hard to be that example. But one of the things that I talk about with the young men and women that I get the opportunity to lead every day is that I want you to be the example that you would want to follow. And that is a responsibility that all of us have every single day. Not easy to do. It's hard. It doesn't just end at the end of the workday. It goes 24/7. When you're in the Salvation Army, you are working around the clock to take care of those who need help the most. And you must be that positive example for them, because especially now at a time when we're dealing with a global pandemic, that positive attitude, that positive example that you can be can make the difference in somebody's life in a major way. So be the example that you would want to follow. This next slide is a picture that's very dear to me. This is my father's family. This is my family. These are my roots. That woman sitting there on the left, that's my grandmother. Now, my grandmother grew up in South Texas, had no formal education whatsoever. She raised 13 children. She was a housewife and a mother. That was my grandmother. That man on the far right in the white suit, that's my grandfather. My grandfather was a janitor at Rice University in Houston. And he used to catch the bus from the inner city, from the home where we grew up in the inner city of Houston, out to Rice University, where he swept floors and scrubbed toilets for a living. And that young man sitting next to my grandfather, it's my father. My father graduated from high school at age 18 and joined the Army 3 days later. He wanted to get out and see the world and get out of the inner city. That was in 1950. In June of 1950, North Korea invaded South Korea. It was bad timing. My father was just a private in the Army at the time, and 3 months later he found himself in Korea, in the Pusan perimeter, with the other United Nations forces as they broke out of the Pusan perimeter and pushed the North Koreans completely out of South Korea, completely out of North Korea, and all the way into China. And in November 1950, my father, who was fighting with the 1st Cavalry Division, was sitting not too far from the Manchurian border on the Yalu River in a place called Unsan. In November 1950, my father's outfit got overrun after the Chinese entered the war. They came across with 300,000 soldiers. They overran my father's outfit. His platoon got cut off. They tried to fight their way back to friendly lines. They got ambushed. He was shot 5 times and was subsequently taken prisoner of war by the Chinese. He spent the next 33 months as a prisoner of war in a prison camp in the northern part of North Korea. He was repatriated in 1953, weighing 70 pounds, and went on to serve our country for 22 years, retiring as a Master Sergeant in 1972. Now, I tell you that story because every time I see that picture, I'm reminded of who I am and where I come from and what I stand for and the legacy that I carry forward every single day that I'm out working with others, that I stand in front of others as a leader. I never forget where I came from and what I stand for. Don't ever do anything to bring discredit to your picture, because every one of you has your own picture to remind you of who you are and where you come from. Don't ever do anything to bring discredit to your picture. Bring honor to your picture every single day. Now, I have 2 sons, and both of my sons served in the United States Army as well. In fact, both of them served in the 1st Cavalry Division like my father and like I did. And I used to tell them every day when they were putting on their uniform, I said, you know, as mundane as it may seem, when you put that uniform on in the morning, don't ever forget that everything you represent is on that uniform. If all you have on is that name tag. Because that name tag for me is that picture. That name tag reminds me every day of that picture and where I come from and who I am. Don't ever do anything to bring discredit to your name tag or your name. Be the example that others would want to follow. This next slide is another one it's another quote, one of my favorites, another one, it's a favorite of many soldiers everywhere, and it's Isaiah 6:8. Then I heard the voice of the Lord saying, whom shall I send, and who will go for us? And I said, here am I, send me. We, as members of the Salvation Army, or members of the board, or friends of the Salvation Army, should all be standing up saying, here am I, send me, when our community is in need. We need to be the ones stepping forward, taking care of our fellow citizens at a time when they need it the most. That is what the Salvation Army stands for. You will never see somebody wearing that Salvation Army uniform that isn't afraid to stand up and say, here am I, send me. We all need to be doing that every single day of our lives. And this is my last slide, and I don't put this up there to be morbid, but like it or not, one of these days, every one of us is going to have one of these over us. And when you look at a tombstone, you always see 2 things on that tombstone. You see the name, and you see the dates. And there's always 2 dates on a tombstone, the date of birth and the date of death. So normally when you look at a tombstone, you look at the name, you say, okay, the guy's name is Ramirez, and let me do the math between the dates. He lived to be 179 years old, lived a good life, and you move on. Everybody that looks at a tombstone always overlooks one little thing on that tombstone, and that's that little line between those 2 dates that we call the dash. And why is that dash important? That dash represents every day, every week, every month, and every year of your life between that first date and that second date. That dash is your life. So I'm going to ask you today, the way I ask the cadets when they're getting ready to graduate and go off there and make their mark on life, how are you going to live your dash? What are you going to do with your dash? One of these days when they put one of these headstones over you, what are people going to say about your dash? And it's my hope that just like all those that wear that uniform of the Salvation Army, that you live a dash that has an impact, that makes a difference on the dashes of others, that you live a dash that you can be proud of, that others can be proud of because you served others well. That's the kind of dash that people truly care about. And that's the kind of dash that those that wear the Army, the Salvation Army uniform every day, that's the dash they live literally every single day, serving, our fellow citizens that are truly in need around the world. We should never underestimate the impact you can have on someone else's life with just the smallest gesture. A kind word, a pat on the back to say you done good, a handshake to say thank you, a hug to say I'm proud of you, looking that young person in the eye and saying you can do this, I have confidence in you. Caring about people the way you would want them to care about you. And the reason I tell you that is because the Salvation Army lives that every single day. That's one of the reasons I truly enjoy being a member of that board, because of what those people stand for every single day, the example they set every single day for all of us to follow. Don't ever forget how important it is what the Salvation Army does for our fellow citizens every single day. We must never forget that, and more importantly, we must continue to support them in all that they do, because what they do truly matters. It has an impact. It has been my honor to be a part of this ceremony with you today. I thank all of you for what you do every day for your fellow citizens in your community. God bless all of you. God bless the great state of Texas. God bless the Salvation Army, and God bless America. Thank you very much.
We want to say thank you. Thank you to this community. Thank you for the support that you've given. Thank you to our staff, our donors, our volunteers, and everybody that makes the Salvation Army of Abilene what it is today. We also want to say thank you to our presenting sponsor, Diane Graves Owen Foundation, as well as Atmos Energy, the Great House Foundation, and the Shelton Family Foundation for your generous contributions. One of the ways that you can support this event is with our online auction, and something you might not know is that our auction has been matched up to $15,000 by an anonymous donor. You can visit that link at salvationarmyabilene.org on our event page. Aside from the online auction, you can follow the link provided to you, because we need your support now more than ever before. Especially in a strange time such as this with COVID-19, the future might not look too good, but the Salvation Army will always be there. We need your support to help the Salvation Army continue to meet the needs of those in the big country.
Every year, the Salvation Army serves nearly 30 million people in need. That's one person every second. So by the time you've finished watching this, 30 more lives will have been changed for good. All thanks to your donations.
Thank you.
Give today.
We want to thank you for watching our first ever Inspiring Hope virtual event. And we want to thank everyone who made this event possible. Our sponsors, our donors, our staff, our board, everyone who pitched in to help.